Plus Sports special on a Saturday morning. And well, the Olympics have begun, finally. And of course, my name is Wally Scott. Welcome on the show. I've got Mukhail Tinubu here and Victor Godfrey with me on the show today. Good morning.
Good morning. Pleasure to be here.
Now, let's look at the fact that the Olympics have finally begun. And let me come home. From the Nigerian perspective, Nigerians didn't give anyone a chance. Nigerians are not giving the Team Nigeria a chance at all. Things went wrong. First of all, we heard that Ibrahim Gusso, there's a fraction in the AFN. First of all, Ibrahim Gusso got to deal with Puma. And the Ministry of Sports said, which is the other fraction, said, no, we have a deal with AFA. We don't want Puma's deal. And you and I, Victor and I said it here and said, Puma is a bigger kit sponsor. Why would you reject Puma? Because of ego tripping.
Okay, let me start with that. Well, first things first, I actually saw the kits from AFA, like they're called. And to be honest with you, I'm not going to lie, this is live television and our viewers deserve the truth. I've not heard of that brand before. This is the first time in my entire life, and I've been following sports fashion for a very long time. So the kit doesn't look that bad. The kit design really is not really the problem. Like you mentioned, is the division we have in our house. I mean, the same goes, a house divided within itself cannot stand. So we have that division. And even another famous saying goes, divide and conquer. So technically, if we're going to be fighting against another, let's say, association, we are already on the losing side because we're divided. Once we can unify the factions, we can move forward. Because personally, we even had this conversation many times before we even came on air, like, do we really need to even be part of this Olympics? Let's just reset the button, cancel everything, and start from
I was suggesting we actually divert the funds to agriculture. We are hungry, actually.
Or do that as well.
Yeah.
So, but the reality of the matter is that whether we even have, for instance, the biggest brands like the Nikes, Adidas, Puma, like you mentioned, Under Armour, if these massive brands even sponsor Nigeria, it's not about aesthetics. It's about the ability of our athletes. How well prepared are they? I mean, there's so many things that are we're just trudging on, which isn't the right way to do things. So, the division is a major issue. Whether even if Nike or any bigger brand says, you know what, don't worry, don't do anything. Just allow us sponsor your guys. You won't pay anything. No, you have no obligations. The contract is literally just you giving you free kits. As long as there's a division in our association and in our structure as a nation, I don't think we're going to go further than where we are right now.
Your take, Mukhail.
Politics is pervasive into everything we do in this country. Even when sports expressly says keep politics out of it. On the one hand, like he said, no matter who was sponsoring us, no matter how big they are, the money that would be accrued from sponsorship deals still would land in politically controlled coffers. And a lot of that will be embezzled. So, whereas other athletes from other nations, that money would go into setting up training camps, go to setting up meets, allowing them to practice and make themselves as effective as possible to be the very best athletes they can be by the time the Olympics rolls around. That's just not what's going to happen in this country. Never has, never will. And it's interesting. We're not an empire, but every empire falls because of the divisions within it.
True.
That.
The enemy from without cannot take it down without the enemy from within, first of all, doing something terrible and treasonous. And as far as I'm concerned, these acts by these people is basically tantamount to treason because they don't care about the structures that they're operating within and leaving the destruction behind them.
National pride, integrity.
My point is, there is no way I am saying, honestly, this might sound like doom talk, but I don't see a future for Nigerian sports in the next 20 years. I say this because we have never looked inwards. It's either Blessing or Kagbare, Harun or Kodri, the usual suspects, the guys who play actually abroad, even in football, in every sport in Nigeria, we always tend to look outside the shores, not inwards. And so our homegrown talents, will just die a natural death eventually. And then when the Hyono cordies grow old and start using the walking stick, and then Blessed Okagbare grows old, we have not developed any new ones to take over.
I agree with that sentiment. It is, like you mentioned, it's actually a bit morbid thinking about it. It's very sad. It is really sad, but it's a reality that we have to come to terms with. I've joked on this show many times about the drawing board and the individuals who sell drawing board in Nigeria.
And the board is broken already.
So many money from always by selling it to sports, people in sports in Nigeria. But the reality of the matter, like you mentioned, is even in sports, even the biggest sports in Nigeria, which is football, as of right now, the biggest form of development is from England and countries in Europe, because almost every football player has my complexion. They're almost all of them are biracial, from our goalkeeper to defense to midfield. That's what we are having now. And all these players are either born in Germany, in England, Belgium, or whatever. The homegrown talent, like you mentioned, okay, what happened? We said that the home team, their friendly game against Mexico, who are at the Olympics, who has proven that those are very, very good, because what they did to France. But they beat us, and we were like, well, we're going to lose anyway, because the Nigerian league, is a joke. Have you seen the football? It's the officiating in the Nigerian football league as of right now is an absolute joke.
I think the audacity that NFF even has to go scouting to try and convince players who establish their careers abroad, who are maybe they have a heritage link to Nigeria, but they've never set foot in Nigeria. The audacity of the NFF trying to convince these players to come represent Nigeria and try to preach the notion of national pride, represent your homeland, your motherland, all of that, it's annoying to me. And I would go further. When you say 20 years, I would say 100 years.
Okay, well.
No, because...
but let me tell you this. If you call the spokesperson of the NOC, his name is Femi Adetula. Femi will tell you and beat his chest and say, listen, yes, you can talk about footballers and say, yes, we went to go and call them and it's annoying, but he paid off with basketball. He always says that.
Okay, let's even break it down. Let's talk about basketball, right? We mentioned that the fact that we do not even give the right amount of funds and let's say the proper care, let me use that general term, towards areas that might potentially give us glory in international tournaments. The female basketball team did what that nobody ever did before in history. In 2017, won the FIBA, went the furthest at the international competition, get to the quarterfinal stage. So today they are still being owed their fees from that 2017. Now, we are going to the Olympics. It's talking about basketball, working on basketball. Okay, let's say if the Americans don't have the success of the NBA, right? The NBA is not as successful as it is. We don't have Nigerians who have migrated to the United States and have given birth to children who are playing there. So what happens? We used to have a grassroots tournament back in the early 2000s and the 90s that used to develop basketball at national stadiums, indoor sports hall. I was aware of them. A very massive branch to sponsor that. I won't mention the name on TV.
Yeah, I know that.
But where is that now? So we're only waiting for the foreigners to help us develop our talent, and we will pray and hope that they come and play for us. That's why sometimes I don't feel too bad when I even discovered Ross Barkley was a Nigerian and Dele Alli was a Nigerian, and they said no. And I said, you know what, I don't blame you, because there's more prestige. Why would Mukhail Osaka play for the Super Eagles of Nigeria when he...
Tomori,
so why would Abraham, what's that guy that plays for Chelsea striker?
Tammy Abraham
want to play for Nigeria? Because let's be honest, they come there, these guys will be owed for just friendly matches. They're going to pay for their own flight ticket down to Nigeria. And if you talk about patriotism, like you mentioned, it is very morbid, it's a harsh reality, but there is really, in fact, there's no future.
You
really,
know why I
for
say
sports.
100 years? Because after politics, sports is the most important thing in this country. And
Is it
sports,
though?
You are a wicked fellow.
It's not though.
This guy,
It's
100
not.
years.
Do you know why it's
100
not?
years. Let me finish.
Okay.
100 years, and because sport is the second most important thing on the social consciousness of this country.
There we go.
And then sports is the most unifying force in this country.
True that.
And yet, there's so little, and there's never been as much deference paid to it by the political elite.
Now, Japanese tennis star Naomi Osaka on Friday lit the Olympic Cauldron to mark the formal start of Tokyo 2020 in an opening ceremony. Shorn of glitz and overshadowed by a pandemic, but celebrated as a moment of global hope. Organizers also paid tribute to medical workers as athletes from across the world paraded into an almost empty stadium, their smiles hidden behind masks for the first time. After being passed from baseball legends to children, the torch was handed to Osaka, who walked to the base of the stage, which split open to reveal a set of stairs. As a cauldron unfolded like a flower, members of the Canada delegation wear patches in the color of the rainbow, the symbol of the LGBT community, on their jackets. U.S. First Lady Jill Biden clapped the Americans, as did France President Emmanuel Macron for the French team. Honestly, no beefs, no. That was beautiful.
Yeah, I was going to say
Japan at its best.
no beefs or no chicken or bomo.
Yes.
Yeah, all right.
That was
But
beautiful.
the thing about the Olympics, to be honest, and I will say this about international competitions, I always look forward to the opening and closing ceremonies because that is
True that.
the beauty and a window into the culture of, in a very colorful way. I'm imagining the fireworks budget, that these competitions have is remarkable. So it is quite incredible that Japan, again, they didn't fail to disappoint. And this is not their first time hosting major tournaments. They did so back, I think, in 1952 or so. They also hosted the World Cup in 2002 with Korea, and again now in 2021, or technically 2020, they've done a great job with the Olympic opening ceremony. Fantastic.
I was going to take that story a few minutes ago. Let me come to you on that one. We were talking about, I'm not taking this anymore, but let's discuss it.
All right.
I know for one that there's going to be health experts and environmentalists are saying a typhoon is coming.
Yeah.
Apart from the heat waves and all that,
Flash floods.
But they're saying a typhoon is actually coming. And I think it's not good for Japan at this point. First of all, it's the pandemic. People are saying stop it. There are protests across the world. Athletes are falling during their sports because of the heat. And then now a typhoon is coming.
Well,
This month?
It's coming like yesterday.
Well, I think the reality of the matter is this. For those people that say global warming is a hoax, the world now more than ever is experiencing the effects of global warming. And the thing about the force of nature is that you can't control it. Mother Nature, when she's wild, you cannot control her. And if the typhoon is actually going to come, it will come. And then guess what? They will have to suspend whatever events that will take place on that day and reschedule. But it's sad that it will hamper what usually is supposed to be summertime, traditionally in temperate regions of the world. So yeah, that's just what it is.
Let me come to you, Mukhail. I think the worst thing that can ever happen to a child is not having an accident, is not failing in school, is not being whatever, even if it's aesthetic. That's not the worst thing. The worst thing is having bad parents. That's the worst thing in the world, really. If you have bad parents, there's the tendency that you are going to do well in life is going to be spiritual. But the truth be said, not this here, but Russia have proven in the past to be bad parents. Because the truth be said, they were actually supporting state doping. They were actually covering their athletes up for doping.
So
and I think that's the height of responsibility.
Well, okay.
You don't do that.
Hold on.
Okay.
He's
You
coming to me.
I'm talking to you, yes.
Okay.
I know your stand. That's why I'm coming to you.
Doping is wrong. That's my stand.
Okay. A government that supports doping. Okay?
A government that supports doping
is what?
is doubly wrong. However, for a long time, America dominated practically every aspect of the
Olympic
Olympics.
So that pushed other guys.
Track and field. Beijing decided they were going to compete on a different level than they had ever done. In comes in the Beijing Olympics.
China.
And China get more medals than they've ever gotten in their life.
True that. They actually literally won it based on medal counts.
Yes. Yeah. And you know what? Americans, because they keep winning. Even if they don't make as many medals, like the Chinese ended up with like 22 something. Americans still came close with like 19, 20. So it wasn't a bad Olympics for the Americans. They're still, Russia doesn't care about competing on fair grounds, not on any aspect of.
That is a wild accusation, though. That is
Not
a
by
serious
trade.
accusation.
Not in trade, not in sports. They've never. I mean, honestly, when I see the Russian national football team play, I actually enjoy watching them.
Watching the film, I'm going to come to you now, but I'm going to take the report first. Well, first of all, what the problem is now? What the problem is now is that Russia were not supposed to wear their colors. WADA told them that. They still went ahead to get those colors there. WADA are trying to look away to avoid as if now only we there here. So we look as if it's you. But I remember, before I go to my report, that listen, bro, let's be honest ourselves. I remember the film Rocky. When he was going to fight Dolph Lundgren, who was supposed to be a Russian in the film.
Drago,
it was on steroids.
Okay, first of all,
Those are Russian. Okay. From the time, like you said, Russians have known not to compete on fair ground.
First things
they never
first,
do.
Let us even remove the bias of popular media, which is American film or Hollywood towards Russians, because in every American film, the bad guys are either British, Russian, or Middle Eastern. Let's put that out there.
Or the Indians, the accent, you just can't.
So let's put that out there. Then let's break it down to what it really is. With Russia, by the way, I am not a secret agent for the KGB.
Sure,
how do we know that?
But the thing is this, right? See, doping for me, as much as you shouldn't like have an advantage over your fellow competitors. But for me, we were talking about pushing the envelope or pushing the limits of human peak performances, right? And if there are still gray areas, because the thing about these anti-doping agencies is that there are many gray areas. There are many athletes that are, okay, for instance, for so many years, America, like you mentioned, Marion Jones crushed my heart as a young boy because she was one of the best athletes I loved and supported, but she was, taking drugs.
I didn't want you to talk here, so I'll come back to you. But the World Anti-Doping Agency, WADA, will be forced to watch as Russian athletes don uniforms in their country's colors of red, white and blue and compete at the Tokyo Olympics, having received softened sanctions over the nation's doping scandals. Now, the World Anti-Doping Agency, WADA, will be forced to watch as Russian athletes wear their country's colors, and I think they're all against that over the nation's doping scandals. Now,
the World Anti-Doping Agency, WADA, will be forced to watch as Russian athletes wear their country's colors at the Tokyo Olympics after receiving softened sanctions over the nation's doping scandals. WADA had originally banned Russia from the world's top sporting events for 4 years in December 2019, but the sanctions were halved late last year by the Court of Arbitration for Sport, or CAS, in a clear victory for Russia. While the Russians are still not allowed to compete under their own flag, name or anthem, they can wear red, white and blue uniforms, despite WADA requesting they wear neutral colours as they did at the Pyeongchang 2018 Winter Games. Olivier Nigli is the WADA Director General.
We never ask, and I have to be very clear, we never ask for Russian athletes not to be allowed to come to the Games. What we don't want is athletes who are involved in the scandal to be here. And we don't want, we didn't want the flags and so on. We asked for neutral colors. That was our request. CAS decided that they could have the colors, not the flag, but they could have the colors.
The new uniforms feature the logo of the Russian Olympic Committee and the letters ROC. They're almost indistinguishable from past Russian uniforms. Many Russian athletes were sidelined from the past 2 Olympics as punishment for state-sponsored doping at the 2014 Sochi Games. Russia has acknowledged shortcomings in its implementation of anti-doping policies, but it denies running a state-sponsored doping program.
so teams getting better, and world leaders are trying their best not to take the shine off the Olympics. They can't get the crowd there, but some of the dignitaries in different countries are trying to be there to actually put the shine back into it. Jill Biden is there. Brisbane, Australia was there to actually get they are Macron is there. I think they are trying their best to actually not take the shine off that. Okay, there's no crowd, but we're here. You know, we represent crowd too now, you know. And so Boris Johnson could not make it there, but he sent a good message to Team Great Britain. So Prime Minister Boris Johnson wished British athletes the very best of luck for the Tokyo Olympic Games in a video message uploaded to social media on Friday. Tokyo Olympic Games kicked off on Friday, July 23rd, with an opening ceremony featuring athletes parading into the stadium by national groups waving, but with smiles hidden behind their masks.
Hi folks, Boris Johnson here, wishing the very best of luck to everyone in Team GB as you finally get set for the start of the Tokyo Olympic Games. Nothing unites the United Kingdom quite like this quadrennial extravaganza of sporting excellence. So I want you to know that while we can't be in Japan to cheer you on in person, the moment you pull on that red, white and blue kit, the whole country, all 67, 68 million of us, will be with you in spirit.
Every world leader trying to take the shine off the let's support them, you know. So Boris Johnson sends a message. Jill Biden is there. Macron is there.
Buhari was not there.
Who?
I said Buhari was not there.
We didn't expect that. but a whole lot of world leaders are there. You know, people are trying to support Japan so that they won't feel like we've been left alone. And I think that's nice.
It is. It is very nice. Goodwill messages usually only come to teams when they are either in the semi-finals or finals of a football tournament. That's when the president will say, "Yo, we believe in you. Make
it happen."
We know how that thing goes. But it's good to see that world leaders are taking time out of their busy schedule to, from whatever they're doing, to give a bit of a motivational speech and support to the athletes. Because again, this is going to be very tough. Many athletes before now have been used to performing in front of crowds.
Yeah.
And then for the first time in maybe 20 years or 15 years.
And then for a long time now, a large amount of them have been training in isolation.
True that.
Due to
COVID-19. So it's going to be very tough for many athletes that would need, because there's something that usually happens in the Olympic Games. I don't know if you've seen this before in the past, where the athletes would, before you run up, they'll clap to get the crowd going.
Yeah.
That would not happen this year. You can't do that to get the crowd going. And that's very sad. So every bit of support you can get from every angle or every aspect of life is needed to help these athletes perform to their best ability. We're going to see Bolt run
to the crowd. He gets a flower there and then he does his liking.
Yeah, exactly,
All that is gone.
That's not going to be there this year, which is very sad. In fact, one of the things that took away the shine a bit from the opening ceremony, watching it yesterday, I was like, no crowd, no cheers for because there's certain things I was in, in the house. And I can imagine a full stadium, about 80,000 individuals reacting to the amazing scenes of arts that we saw yesterday at the Olympic opening ceremony. So it's very sad, really. It is.
Mukhail, anything?
We might be surprised. We might be surprised by the athletes themselves, because while the tradition is to get the crowd going on the side, we might be surprised that the athletes themselves form the honor guard, form the crowd for each participant in each
Delegates
game.
will be in stands, yes?
Yes, and certainly some members of the Olympics preparation teams, the staff, those who are not, their work is not rather paramount at the time.
Like volunteers, yes.
Yeah, we'll be there, and it will be an opportunity.
And holding the flag, well, that's true.
But the thing is that in a let's say an arena that sits about 7,000 people, 300 and 7,000 are not the same. So,
yeah, but the quiet of such a venue will maximize the echo of the singular clap.
Come on, look at that aesthetic man. Okay, now the wait has been almost forever, and finally he's a Red. Jadon Sancho has explained that his move to Manchester United for £73 million is a dream come true. The Red Devils agreed to deal with his former club Borussia Dortmund at the start of July, while the white man was at Euro 2020 duty with England and have now agreed personal terms with the player. Sancho also spoke about the attraction of joining a youthful squad in which he is one of the youngest players, along with Brandon Williams, Mason Greenwood, and Hamad Diallo. Since joining Dortmund in 2017, Sancho has scored 50 goals and provided 57 assists in 137 appearances across all competitions.
Jadon, welcome to Manchester United. How does it feel to be able to call yourself a United player?
Yeah, it's a honour, really. Growing up Manchester was one of the biggest clubs that, that was known for, and obviously all the trophies they've won, and that's the iconic players that come before me. So, yeah, I'm happy to be wearing this jersey now.
And talk us through the timeline of the transfer from your perspective. When did you first hear it might be happening, and when was it finally confirmed?
To be fair, when I was at Dortmund, I was just playing my football, so I was just blocking out all the noise and just focusing what me and my team had to accomplish as a team. So, yeah, really just focusing on my football. And then obviously, when I was at the Euros, that's when things started to pick up even more, and then that's when I started to hear that United were interested, and yeah.
Social media, and you're on the top of so many fans' wish lists. So how does it feel to have that support already from the Reds?
No, it feels very nice. Obviously, to have the fans by my side is always a great feeling, especially when you come into a new club. You need to feel comfortable straight away, and I'm sure the fans will give me that feeling.
And it's a young, exciting squad that Ollie's shaping. You're part of that now. Was that one of the main attractions in making the move? Some of the great, talented young players we got at this.
Yeah, definitely. That's one of reasons why I came to Manchester, because I can see the development that's going on here, and I want to be a part of it, and especially because it's such an iconic club, and to be a part of it is just kind of a dream come true. So yeah, I'm sure my family will be proud of me to making this big step.
But if you were talking about your game to a United fan who's not seen you play, how would you describe yourself?
Eager to win, determined to win trophies, goals and assists, and yeah, a bit of skills here and there.
We love the skills. But what gives you a bigger buzz, a goal or an assist?
I feel like they're both as important as each other, because if you assist, if you don't assist, where's the assist coming from? So it's like you're kind of scoring the goal when you assist, and you scored the goal off an assist. So it's like both as important as each other. But yeah.
Let me start with you, Mukhail. Big Chelsea fan you are. But they've been waiting for this guy, Man U fans, like forever.
3 years.
Jadon Sancho. And now he's here. Now, this is what everybody's saying, this is what Manchester United need at this point. He's a wide man on the right. Bruno Fernandes in the midfield. Paul Pogba in the midfield, somebody on the left, maybe Marcus Rashford making the runs on the left, Rafael Varane stabilizes. Basically, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is trying to build an attack-minded team.
I hate to say it, well, I really don't.
Oh my God.
Jadon Sancho is a community property. We all have shares in it.
Oh my goodness.
Manchester City raised, Chelsea fan, and now at Manchester United. So really, I just want to see what he's really capable of, because I don't watch German football that often. And I have a family member who thinks his stats are overblown, the importance of his stats are overblown, because he's playing in Germany. So we'll get the opportunity to see him week in, week out, and really see what he's capable of. It might take him a whole season to really get acclimatized back into the English game. But I think ultimately we'll get to see a really wonderful, fantastic player.
Okay.
What's your take?
Well, first of all, I don't think it's what United needs, to be honest with you. I think that Manchester United need 2 or 3 more proper signing. Paul Pogba is not too sure of his future. He rejected a contract extension. Might be at PSG next season or this season, who knows.
I'm so tired of the Pogba story.
Yeah, we all are, to be honest. Now, also to add to that, you mentioned something about his stats. It's true. Jadon Sancho's style of play he's more of like a watered-down version of Ronaldinho. And players like that, if they have an off day and they maybe make one assist, they really have off that. Their off days are very, exactly. And that's how, I mean, even at Euros, they really didn't, for me, how do you lose your place to Bukayo Saka? I mean, that kind of speaks volumes.
Well,
that speaks volumes, to be honest. I'm not saying he's a bad player. He's actually a good signing for United. Exciting is the Man U style of play, tricky wingers, leg overs and stuff like that.
Although if you use the England situation to judge, Berbatov is the kind of player that many teams, many managers would never have taken on.
Yeah.
But Bukayo Saka is the kind of player that everyone wants to get their hands on, because he can play in so many positions and he focuses well on defensive duties.
But here's the thing,
as well as his athleticism.
But here's the thing: if as a flair player, if you're really that good, a flair player is the first person on the list. That's the truth.
Look, you don't have to tell me twice. I mean, I always was frustrated with Eden Hazard. As good as he was,
Discipline.
he had no discipline. And once flair players are the ones with the least discipline because they have so much natural talent that it's always come too easy for them.
And the discipline comes in two aspects, either in your personal life when it comes to training or even discipline in the game. An example is Okocha.
I was arguing with someone yesterday, late in the night, and we're talking about the fact that at a point in all TV stations, all sports programs across the world, the question was, is the English Premier League the best league in the world now? And the reason why we're all doing that was because Arsenal and Man U almost got into the Euro finals. Man City and Chelsea got into the finals.
Yeah.
And so, and the question would be, is it because the English teams, post-COVID or before COVID, were never scared of spending money when it comes to quality? Now we're looking at Jadon Sancho, obviously quality. Manchester United. We're hearing about Haaland going to Chelsea, and it's almost done.
Yeah.
We're hearing that, in fact, that is as good as done already. Well, on paper, it will be done next week. We're hearing of Harry Kane going to Manchester City.
And City,
these are teams, actually, listen, it's a gradual process, but look at what they are building. They are all building armies.
So is the question that
they are building armies.
Access to
funds,
so much funds.
I don't know.
Build effectively football.
But they are not scared of spending it.
So here's the thing about being the best league in the world, right? It comes in cycles. Cycles, so I should say. 80s, 70s, you had the Germans, you had the Dutch. The 90s was Italian. 2000s, you had the Spanish and English till now. It's been the battle between Spain and England, because you have an era whereby it's only, in fact, the Europa League is an example. It has been won by how many Spanish teams for the last, 11 years? The Champions League, Spanish teams have dominated that as well. So it comes in cycles, sir. Now, but let's talk about the funds. I'll give the English credit for one thing, and that is media, using the media to its peak potential. And they have used that to convince the entire world that the English Football League, or Premier League as it's called, is one of the best in the world. It's not the best, it's one of the best. Because how you measure being the best is what you do in international competitions.
Yeah.
Who's better?
Who's better? Now, for many years...
On paper now, the best club in Europe right now is Chelsea.
I agree, on paper. But the reality of the matter is this, right? When it comes, because there's something they say farmers league.
Sorry,
yeah, go
not
ahead.
just on paper, on field, because we actually.
I just remembered. I remembered he's a Chelsea fan. I'm sorry.
Look, what I want to know is what league,
I know. I just remembered now.
Do you think is the best? I don't want to argue. I just want to get your opinion.
Now that statement is broad. I can't say in what.
If you want my opinion, though,
yes,
I
wouldn't say England. It's Spain. Spain is the best league in the world.
I can use some words on air. But I can't explain to you what I feel for Chelsea. But it's obviously negative.
Obviously.
But
you can.
But a team that has got they're champions. Let's be honest.
No doubt about that.
They're champions
2 times.
And now a team that has got a Kai Havertz, Hakim Ziyech, Timo Werner, N'Golo Kante.
That is also.
I think a team like that, who can afford to put a Pulisic on the bench, who can afford to allow Olivier Giroud go, who are thinking of buying Haaland.
Yep.
I think they're going to be a formidable team next season.
But that's what we said at the start of the season, that Chelsea with all they signed Havertz, they signed the goalkeeper. I mean, we're like,
and they won the Champions League.
Yeah, but where did they come in the league though?
I would like.
But that's not. Wow, come on.
They came fourth.
I would last in my league.
I would like to point out.
Really?
I would like to point out that the teams these clubs, the biggest clubs in England, are all vying to compete at the European level.
Top 4, actually. No, the top 4
Tottenham wants to be in the top 4, so it can be in the European Hall.
I can bet with anything.
No, what I mean by top, when I mean by top 4, I'm not talking about league position. I'm talking about the top 4 big names. I'm not talking about your position. I'm talking about United, City, Liverpool, and Chelsea in terms of funds. Arsenal is not in that bracket anymore.
Regardless, these teams want to compete at the European level.
True that.
Competing at the European level means you're competing against PSG, you're competing against Bayern Munich, whom, for example, managed to get Upamecano under everybody else's nose, even though he was a hotly contested property.
Red Bull,
Real Madrid, Barcelona are the Spanish giants, and even Atletico Madrid are gaining momentum.
Atletico Madrid won the league, remember.
So, and Juventus, the old lady, these classes,
Inter Milan,
these classes
PSG.
of clubs, the pedigree that they have, they can ordinarily, without money on the table, they can shop around for any player they want, because you come to them when they offer. What they offer to players is you will win titles, you will win trophies, and you will have a legacy because you're...
Okay, guys, I really have little or no time, but I really have to take this, really. Now, Cleveland's Major League Baseball team will be known as the Guardians for the 2022 season, ending their long-standing use of the Indians nickname, which goes back to 1915. It has come under increasingly vociferous criticism as a racist from Native Americans and other campaigners. The franchise had pledged to make the change at the end of 2020. The Chief Wahoo logo, a cartoon figure with a red skin and a feather in his forehand, was phased out in 2018.
As a fifth-generation Clevelander, I understand the historic impact and importance of this decision. Like most of you, I grew up with the name Indians. My first Indians heroes were the great Rocky Colavito and Sonny Siebert. My bond to the tribe was secured then, and my fandom has only grown over the years. The successes we enjoyed and shared in the last 3 decades as Indians, the World Series appearances, the Cy Young Award winners, the longest win streak in Major League Baseball history, and so many other great accomplishments will always be unforgettable Indians memories for all of us. Those memories do not diminish with a new name. Indians will always be part of our history, just as Cleveland has always been the most important part of our identity. In searching for a new brand, we sought a name that strongly reflects the pride, resiliency, and loyalty of Clevelanders. Guardians embodies those defining attributes while drawing upon the iconic Guardians of Traffic, proudly standing just outside Progressive Field on the Hope Memorial Bridge. It brings to life the pride Clevelanders take in our city and the way we stand for each other while defending our Cleveland baseball family. We acknowledge the name change will be difficult for some of us, and the transition will take time. It is our hope and belief this change will divert us from a divisive path and instead steer us towards a future where our fans, city, and region are all united as Cleveland Guardians.
Plus Sports Special, I'm going to leave you with this video on the show today about but thank you very much, Mukhail Tinubu. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Victor Godfrey.
Pleasure.
Like I said earlier, I'm going to leave you with that video. My name is Wale Scott. Join us same time next week, same station. Like I always advise you at the end of every show, if not for anything, at least for your heart, do some sports.
Drive our decisions. Over the course of several months of research, we surveyed more than 40,000 fans. We conducted 140 hours of interviews with fans, community leaders, and front office personnel, and we generated 1,198 potential team names. Through all of our research, 3 key themes emerged, and we believe Guardians reflects all 3 of these insights that were most important to our fans. The first one was to connect to the city of Cleveland in a genuine and authentic way. Second, honor our rich Major League Baseball history here in Cleveland. And finally, unite our community. Since the announcement to change the name in December, our team has been hard at work to ensure that we pick a name that our fans and organization will be proud to have represent Cleveland baseball for the next 100+ years.
We're trying to be the best Cleveland organization we can be and be united for everybody and represent the city of Cleveland like it deserves. And I am so appreciative of, it's easy to sit in the back and say, yeah, we ought to do this. Paul had to kind of go front and center, and I think it took a lot of guts and a lot of bravery, and very, very much appreciated. We have a good leader, and we all feel like that. You know,
recording in progress.
To answer more things later when we're in our own thing. I think it'd be good for Paul and Brian and Hammy and Curtis and everybody to be able to answer the questions, but I did want to make sure everybody understood that we are trying to be the most respectful we can, and it's not about us. It's about other people, and you have to step outside of your own skin and think about other people that may have different color skin and what they're thinking.